Have you ever wondered how some people lead with courage and wisdom? The story of Deborah, Barak, and Jael in the Bible is a perfect example of how faith and determination can transform a nation. Deborah was a remarkable figure in the scriptures. She was a wise and courageous leader. She was a prophetess and judge of Israel. She could interpret the divine will and apply it in judicial decisions. She was respected and admired by all. She was like someone steering a ship through a storm. Deborah led her people through difficult times with a clear vision and purpose. She was a wise leader who delivered messages and offered advice. She was a unique and essential figure for Israel during a period of great oppression. Deborah was a light for the Israelites who faced the Canaanites. She inspired and motivated her people to remain strong and united. She guided Israel. Deborah lived in a time of great challenges. Idolatry and sin had led the Israelites to oppression under King Javan of Canaan. However, Deborah's figure emerged as a symbol of hope and renewal. She became a central figure for her judgment. Deborah's influence over the people of Israel was profound and lasting. Her ability to communicate with God and interpret His will gave the Israelites a sense of security and purpose. Imagine living in a community where the leadership is in direct harmony with divine wisdom. This connection strengthened the people's faith and encouraged them to follow the path of righteousness and justice. Deborah not only led, she inspired future leaders with her example. Practically speaking, her story teaches the importance of leadership. Modern leaders can learn from Deborah about listening to followers and understanding their needs. This approach guides, empowers, and transforms. Faith was central to Deborah's leadership. Her connection with God provided spiritual guidance and a solid foundation for her decisions. In times of uncertainty, leaders with firm and consistent faith can inspire. Deborah showed that faith can give people strength. She inspired and motivated others. She didn't just tell people what to do, she showed them. She was courageous and determined. Contemporary leaders can learn from Deborah. They can lead by example and have a clear vision. Deborah's impact on biblical history is huge. Her story shows the power of leadership. Even after centuries, Deborah continues to inspire those who lead with integrity. Her life and actions show that strong and just leadership can overcome any adversity. Deborah teaches us that true leadership is about inspiration and service to others. This lesson connects to the next chapter of the story, where we will see how Israel's oppression led to the need for leaders like Deborah to guide them. After King Ahab died, Israel faced a period of great turmoil. The people strayed from God's ways, leading to idolatry and sin. This moral and spiritual decay made it easier for enemies to oppress the chosen nation. History shows us that when a society loses its ethical compass, it becomes vulnerable to external forces. Idolatry became common among the Israelites. They began to worship foreign gods, ignoring God's commandments. This weakened the relationship between the people and their Creator. This weakened the people's relationship with their Creator and the moral fabric of Israeli society. Israel began to falter and became susceptible to foreign powers. Jobin and his commander Sisera oppressed Israel. Sisera was known for his brutality and military efficiency. He led an iron chariot army that terrorized the Israelites. His presence on the battlefield was synonymous with despair. Sisera's figure became a symbol of the suffering and adversity faced by Israel under Canaanite oppression. The oppression affected all aspects of the Israelites' daily lives. They were forced to surrender their harvests, pay tributes, and endure the constant threat of violence destabilized communities and made people afraid. This made it hard to organize resistance against the oppressors. Idolatry and sin weakened Israel, creating internal divisions that Jobin and Sisera exploited. The lack of unity and common purpose made it difficult to organize effective resistance. History shows that when a people stray from their fundamental values, they become vulnerable to destructive influences. In Israel, idolatry led to social fragmentation, undermining the people's ability to unite. Some Israelites kept the flame of hope and faith alive despite the Canaanite threat. They prayed for a deliverer to lead them to freedom. This unwavering faith was a source of strength in dark times. He did not abandon his people. Prayer and guidance were common practices among those who refused to lose hope. The response to oppression came in the form of spiritual leaders who rose to guide the people. Deborah was one such figure. She offered direction and hope. Spiritual leaders can help a community stay together and strong in times of crisis. Deborah showed this. She guided Israel with wisdom and courage. The Canaanite oppression made people realize they needed to return to God. This made it easier for inspired leaders like Deborah to take action and lead her people to freedom. The Israelites needed to prepare spiritually for victory. This preparation led to Deborah calling Barak, a military leader who would fight Sisera. Deborah was inspired by God and called Barak to lead an army against the oppressors. Courageous action can bring liberation. Deborah was illuminated by divine wisdom and received a clear instruction from God. It was time to free Israel from the oppressive yoke of the Canaanites. She did not hesitate to seek Barak, a respected and courageous military leader. Deborah urged Barak, a brave and respected military leader, to join her. Barak was unsure but knew he had to act. He felt the weight of the responsibility on him. He asked Deborah to go to the battle with him. He knew she would inspire him and give him courage. This showed he had faith in her and needed spiritual support. When we're in a crisis, it's natural to feel afraid. But faith can help us overcome our fears. Deborah showed Barak that faith can move mountains and transform hearts. She encouraged him to plan a strategy to face Sisera's army. They chose Mount Tabor as the battlefield because it was a good location for the fight. Planning and preparation were key to success against a tough enemy. This can be applied to many areas of life, showing the importance of being prepared and acting wisely. Deborah's role as a motivator and spiritual leader was vital. She gave Barak and the troops courage and determination. Having a leader who can inspire and lift morale is important in any endeavor. Preparing the 10,000 men who made up the Israelite army was hard but important. Every soldier needed to be ready for the challenge. Deborah and Barak worked hard to make sure their troops were ready and motivated. This shows what can be done when you have a clear purpose and a shared vision. Deborah and Barak worked together well. They respected each other and brought different strengths to the partnership. This collaborative leadership approach can also work in our own lives. Deborah and Barak trusted each other and respected each other's skills. This partnership is an example of how trust and respect can strengthen any endeavor. With the preparations complete and the strategic plan established, Deborah and Barak were ready to face Sisera and his army. The next battle would be at Mount Tabor. Faith, courage, and wisdom would be tested. Anticipation and tension were high. But they believed in divine intervention. This would change Israel's destiny. The final preparations for the battle were meticulous. Every Israelite soldier was in position, ready to face the Canaanite army. The atmosphere was tense, but also with an unshakable faith in divine intervention. Mount Tabor would be the scene of a confrontation that would change Israel's destiny. Everyone knew the importance of the moment. The atmosphere among the soldiers was a mix of nervousness and anticipation. Many were there for the first time in a major battle. Others were veterans of fights against their oppressors. Deborah's presence among them served as a beacon of hope. She walked among the men, offering words of encouragement and reminding them that God was with them. Deborah spoke about the divine promise of victory. She assured each soldier that despite the strength Sisera's iron chariots, God's intervention would be decisive. Her words were like an anchor for anxious hearts, inspiring courage to face the enemy. This inspiration was vital, for a battle is not only with weapons but also with spirit. Barak led his men with courage. He knew that his confidence and posture were crucial to maintaining high morale. Barak reminded everyone that they were fighting for their families, their homes and their freedom. He stood out as an example of bravery, urging his men to fight with all their might. Trusting in the victory promised by God, the army approached, and the iron chariots were impressive and intimidating. These war machines were advanced for the time and symbolized Canaanite strength. The sound of the chariots moving across the battlefield was enough to instill fear. But the Israelites were ready, thanks to Deborah's words and Barak's leadership. The Israelites were ready to face this threat. When the battle began at Mount Tabor, the clash was intense. The Canaanites' iron chariots advanced with overwhelming force, initially seeming invincible. The Canaanites were technologically superior, and the Israelites faced a tough fight. However, Deborah and Barak's confidence in divine intervention helped them fight back. The Canaanite army seemed to be winning. The iron chariots were cutting through the ranks of soldiers easily. The battle seemed to be going to Sisera. However, Deborah and Barak's they had faith. They knew God was with them. The tide of battle could turn at any moment. Then, God intervened. A storm came. The sky darkened. It rained hard. The Kishon River flooded. The flood was a sign that God was helping Israel. The river overflowed, flooding the battlefield and making it hard for the Canaanites to fight. The iron chariots, which had been Sisera's advantage, were stuck in the mud. The enemy's strength was stopped by a natural phenomenon that seemed to be a sign from God. This helped the Israelites win the battle. Sisera's iron chariots got stuck in the mud, which made the Canaanite soldiers vulnerable. The chariots were not as good as they seemed. The Israelites saw their chance to counterattack. The advantage was now theirs. Each soldier was determined. This was a turning point. With the iron chariots immobilized, the Israelites attacked. Led by Barak and inspired by Deborah, the Israelites fought bravely. Their courage and faith in divine victory made it a reality. The bravery of the Israelite soldiers was evident. They fought with fierce determination, each one knowing that their people's freedom was at stake. Their faith in Deborah and Barak's leadership and God's intervention gave them extraordinary strength. They fought not only with their weapons but with their hearts, inspired by the greater purpose of their mission. Sisera fled from the battlefield after seeing his army defeated and his iron chariots stuck in the mud. He knew his only chance of survival was to find refuge away from the victorious Israelites. In his flight, he sought a place where he could hide and plan his next move. Filled with fear and uncertainty, Sisera made his way to Heber's camp. Heber was known for being neutral in the war between Israel and Canaan, so Sisera believed he would find safety there. Upon arrival, he was greeted by Heber's wife. Sisera was desperate and begged for shelter. Jael welcomed him with hospitality. She invited him into her tent and offered him water and a place to rest. Sisera was exhausted. He accepted the invitation. Jael had other plans. Sisera's trust in Jael's hospitality was his fatal mistake. Jael offered him milk instead of water. With gentle words and a welcoming attitude, he fell asleep. She made him feel secure. Sisera felt protected and let his guard down. He fell into a deep sleep, unaware of the fate that awaited him. Jael's tent seemed a safe refuge, but it would become the place of his last night. While Sisera slept, Jael made a courageous decision. She knew that Sisera's presence. Jael knew that Deborah's prophecy had to be fulfilled. He took a tent peg and a hammer. He approached Sisera, who was asleep. He hit him with the peg, killing him. Deborah's prophecy was fulfilled. Jael killed Sisera, fulfilling a prophecy that a woman would defeat him. Her courage and determination helped end the battle. Sisera's death ended Canaanite oppression over Israel, bringing freedom and peace. Jael, an ordinary woman, became a heroine. The Israelites were impressed and grateful when they heard about Jael's bravery. Jael's action completed the victory and inspired the Israelites to believe in the power of faith. The Israelites were amazed and grateful for Jael's bravery. They knew that Sisera was defeated and that victory was theirs. Jael's bravery was celebrated. Her courageous action was seen as a direct manifestation of God's will. The victory over Sisera symbolized not only the defeat of an oppressor but also the power of faith and divine justice. Jael's action in the war was profound. The Canaanites were defeated. The Israelites felt stronger. The victory showed that challenges can be overcome with faith and determination. Jael was an inspiration to future generations. She was recognized as a heroine for her role in Israel's liberation. Her courage was celebrated in songs and stories. Her bravery inspired those facing oppression. Jael showed that courage can come from unexpected places. With Sisera's death, the Israelites won. They celebrated with songs and dances, thanking God. Deborah and Barak were celebrated as leaders and heroes. But the journey wasn't over. The next step was to remember and celebrate the divine intervention and bravery that led to victory. This would be immortalized in Deborah's song. Jael is a fascinating figure in the Bible. History. Jael was the wife of Heber the Kenite. Heber and his family chose not to ally with either side in the war between Israel and the Canaanites. This allowed them to live in peace, but also required a delicate political balance. Jael killed Sisera, which broke this neutrality. Sisera broke this neutrality in an act of courage. Her family's neutrality made her action surprising and impactful. Jael's role in Israel's history is important. By assassinating Sisera, she helped fulfill Deborah's prophecy and ensured her people's freedom. Freedom from Canaanite oppression. Her action showed that anyone can be brave and that anyone can have a profound impact on history. Jael's decision to kill Sisera was an act of courage. In a world where brute force was often the currency, Jael was bold in using her intelligence and determination to defeat an enemy commander. Her action was motivated by a sense of justice and protection for her people. Jael's motivations for acting against Sisera were clear: to protect Israel and fulfill Deborah's prophecy. Jael's courage was driven by a deep conviction that her action was necessary for the greater good. Jael's courage and determination are evident in every aspect of her action. She did not hesitate to seize the opportunity to eliminate Sisera, knowing that this would bring relief and liberation to the Israelites. Her action was swift, decisive, and effective, highlighting her inner strength and commitment to Israel's cause. Israel was surprised and admired by Jael's action. The news that a woman, specifically a woman from a neutral tribe, had killed the feared Canaanite commander quickly spread. Jael's action fulfilled the prophecy and elevated her actions gained her great respect and recognition among the Israelites. The Canaanite army collapsed after Sisera's death. Jael's actions ended Canaanite oppression. Her courage was crucial in Israel's liberation. Jael became a symbol of faith and courage for the Israelites. Her story inspired future generations to believe in courageous action and divine intervention. She showed that even in the most desperate situations, faith and courage can prevail. She became a living example of how trust in God can lead to victory. Deborah's prophecy that a woman would receive the glory for defeating Sisera was impressively fulfilled through Jael. Deborah's leadership and vision also showed the importance of women in the Bible. Jael's courageous act made the prophecy come true. This showed the important role of women in Israel's history. Jael became a national heroine. She was known for her bravery and impact led to her becoming a symbol of courage and devotion to God. The Israelites celebrated her memory as an example of heroism. Jael's story shows the importance of faith and courageous action. Jael's importance in the biblical narrative cannot be underestimated. Her story shows that anyone can make a difference with courage and faith. Jael's legacy, her story, is an example of faith and courage. It is told as an example to follow. Jael became a symbol that even in the most difficult circumstances, faith and determination can lead to victory. Her story is a beacon of hope for all who face challenges. Many have followed her example of courage. Jael's action resonates through the ages as a reminder that true courage knows no. Jael's story shows that anyone can be courageous. It is about having faith and taking action. Jael's victory is celebrated in Deborah's song. This song is about divine intervention and human bravery. The Song of Deborah and Barak is one of the most inspiring and poetic passages in the Bible. It is a testimony of Jael's role in Israel's liberation. The Song of Deborah and Barak is a celebration of the victory of the people of Israel over Canaanite forces. The song is not just about history. It is also about faith and gratitude. In Israel, songs like this were used to celebrate victories and to teach important moral and spiritual lessons. It was a way to remember God. The song celebrates victory and divine intervention. Deborah and Barak thank God for helping them win the battle. They praise the courage of Deborah and Barak, who led the people of Israel. Israel is a wise and strong leader who helped her people in times of need. Barak is praised for being brave on the battlefield, following God's call, and leading his men with determination and faith. Jael is also celebrated in the song. She is described as the most blessed woman for killing Sisera. The song shows how an ordinary woman can become a hero through faith and courageous action. This shows that everyone has an important role in God's plan. The song describes a battle and victory in vivid, inspiring terms. It uses images of storms, overflowing rivers, and iron chariots stuck in the mud to show God's direct intervention in the fight. This language not only narrates the events but also captures the emotion and wonder of witnessing divine power. The song shows that when God's people are united and faithful, they can overcome even the greatest challenges. The Song of Deborah shows how leaders can guide people through hard times. It says that people should listen to and follow leaders who are guided by God. The song is full of thanks to God for helping people. Deborah and Barak thank God for helping them win their fight. Gratitude shows the importance of recognizing and thanking God for His blessings. The song also reflects on oppression and redemption. It reminds listeners of the suffering Israel endured under Canaanite oppression and how God heard their cries and brought deliverance. This reflection serves as a reminder that divine redemption is always within reach for those who keep their faith. The song also calls for justice and faithfulness. The song shows that Deborah and Barak told the people of Israel to be faithful to God and to seek justice. They said that the victory was because they were faithful to God and that justice is important for the continuation of blessings from God. The song is an inspiration for future generations. It shows that faith and action are important. This inspiration is not just historical. The song encouraged the Israelites to trust in God and be courageous. It became part of their oral and written tradition. The story of Deborah, Barak, and Jael inspired the people of Israel. It reminded them of God's power and the importance of courage and faith. The song's legacy shows the power of words and faith. It continues to be. The song is an example of inspired leadership and divine intervention. It celebrates a military victory and declares faith. With the victory, Israel entered a period of peace and prosperity. Deborah and Barak's leadership brought a new era for God's people. This peace was remembered for many generations. Deborah was one of Israel's great leaders. The story of Deborah, Barak, and Jael teaches us about faith, courage, and leadership. Deborah led Israel through difficult times with wisdom and strength. Barak followed God's call despite his doubts, showing that courage comes from faith and support. Jael's courage reminds us that bravery can. These examples inspire us to reflect on our own lives. In what areas can we demonstrate Deborah's unwavering faith, Barak's courage, or Jael's determination? We are called to lead with integrity, act with courage, and trust in divine intervention in our daily challenges. Like them, we can make a difference in our world regardless of the circumstances. Now, think about how you can apply these principles in your life. What steps can you take? Take action with faith and courage. Support those around you. Trust in God when you're uncertain. The stories of Deborah, Barak, and Jael show us that we can overcome any obstacle with faith and action. Subscribe to the channel to learn more. Together, we can grow in wisdom, courage, and faith.